I will call this council public hearing to order. Mrs. Carter, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I certainly will. You're so kind of calling out for that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I knew you could handle one more thing on your plate tonight, Mrs. Carter.
I think you know me.
Kathy, roll, please.
Carter? Here. Walter?
Here.
Powell?
Here.
Barstow?
Here.
Hayes? Here. Picken?
Here.
Lee?
Okay, we have a quorum present. This public hearing is to consider the following application. Rezoning application ZON-18-007. Jess Maynard is requesting to rezone property from the R20, which is medium density district, to the GB, which is general business district, pursuant to section 1217.10 of the Pataskala Code for property located at 12164 Broad Street. What do you got for me, Scott?
Thank you, sir. So here's the property in question. It's outlined in yellow on the map. Broad Street's to the south, railroad track to the north, Connors Avenue to the east, and the AEP laydown yard is to the west. So the property contains about a 1,600 square foot single family home constructed in 1996 and a 720 square foot detached garage constructed in 2015. The applicant's requesting to rezone the property from the R20 residential district to the GB general business district so that the property could be used for a small car lot or garage door business. As we've discussed with previous rezonings, that the rezoning is not predicated upon the specific use you want. If you're rezoned to the general business district, all permitted district or permitted uses of that district are available. So it doesn't have to be rezoned and then used as a car lot. It may be as a permitted use, but if they want to put a barber shop, whatever there, as long as that use is permitted in the general business district, that would be a permitted use of that district. So the future land use map recommends the property for light industrial with the planned development district zoning classification. Based upon the existing future land use map, the general business zoning request would not be in line with that future land use map. As we are all aware, the comprehensive plan is currently going through an update. And as part of that update, there will be a future land use map. So there is the possibility that in the future, after the comprehensive plan is updated and associated with that, the future land use map is updated, that recommendation could change. Because as we're aware, the existing comprehensive plan is about 12 years old. So the Planning and Zoning Department took a look and does not feel the general business district would be out of character for the area. There is property directly across the street that is zoned general business, so it would not be an instance of spot zoning. And then the Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval of the rezoning request at the June 6th Planning and Zoning Commission hearing. So to the north and east is R20 with single-family homes. In the east, it's vacant. To the south is general business, as I mentioned. There's a church located there. And to the west is M1 Light Manufacturing, and that's the AEP storage yard. So here's a zoomed-in picture of the property outlined in yellow. Here is the future land use map, and I'm not sure if you can see the star that's located here. And this light purple color is the recommendation for light manufacturing. Purple is heavy manufacturing, and blue is office, which could carry a general business zoning classification. And here's the zoning map. Blue M1, the red is general business. Mr. Maynard's property is here with star, as you can see, zoned R20. So as I mentioned, there is general business zoning classification in the area directly across the street. So while it's not specifically recommended on the future land use map for general business, it would not be out of character for the area. and I would be happy to answer any questions.
First of all, Mr. Lee, this isn't a committee meeting, this is a public hearing. Would you like to join us?
Didn't want to interrupt, so
Okay.
I'm good.
Any questions for Scott on this piece of property? Yes, sir. Mr. Barstow?
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Scott, are we aware of any zoning violations or zoning issues with this property? Have we gone out and looked?
No, sir.
I'm sorry?
There's nothing currently in our violation tracking system on this property. The zoning inspector gets a copy of the request, so if he has any zoning violations that do come up, he's to comment when we prepare the staff report, so we make sure that, everybody, like when we talk to utility, police, fire, that everybody has an opportunity to weigh in. And didn't hear anything from our zoning inspector on that, and there's nothing in the tracking system.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Higgins?
The split, I appreciate the zoning commission, listening to this, the split, this right on the line of residential and industrial. Did any of the residential people come to the hearing?
No.
Meaning the owners of those and voice concern or anything like that?
No, notices went out to folks within 300 feet, and no one within that radius or otherwise showed up to voice opposition or concern or pro or against, so no one showed up.
Any other questions for Scott?
Down here, Mayor.
Mr. Walter?
Scott, in looking at this, I'm assuming if you can put up your last slide, there you go. The road that's between, or that is off of Broad Street, I'm assuming that's where this parcel would get its access?
More than likely.
I don't know that it could get it from Broad Street, basically. And have you looked at that road to see that it could support a general business?
From a traffic standpoint,
From width, traffic, site distance, all those things that a general business might bring to that site. And he used the applicant used a car lot, or what else was he?
Garage repair?
Garage
door
repair or something,
Garage
so,
door repair.
Maybe, you might have some fuel trucks come in there, oil truck, grease truck, whatever, coming in there to serve that. Where that is right there, are you pretty comfortable that without any augmentations to that road, that it could support general business?
more than likely, and a lot of this would happen on a case-by-case basis, depending upon what's being proposed. So if a car lot came in, they may need to expand the parking lot, which brings other issues. But for example, the garage door repair could just be a dispatching center for folks to go out. So the next step would be, should this develop beyond what's currently there, then there could be a need to look at some of those situations. But at this point, the planning and zoning department doesn't have any concerns that it would be able to accommodate any traffic at this point.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Connors?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Connors Road, okay.
The railroad on the other side, it's hard to travel across,
Did you have some input, Mr.
I was just gonna say, as far as an access, I don't see it being able to be off of Broad right there near the intersection. That intersection right now, to pull out on the Broad from Connors is difficult at best sometimes when it's busy, so any access would certainly have to be off of Adams Lane. We'd have to look at it, potentially any improvements that would need to be made to accommodate that. You're not gonna get to it, I think, as I heard you saying, with the railroad tracks to the north of it, so the only real access that would be able to be is off of Connors Avenue, and we'd have to make sure that it can accommodate or any improvements made to accommodate it.
Yes.
The concern I have is that that's right at the bottom of the railroad overpass. So that's a sometimes dicey intersection. The speed limit's 50 miles an hour there. So it would be a concern. And then if you forced to come in off Adams, then you're talking about all the way down to Mink and coming all the way back down to Connors, and that's not, Adams isn't necessarily a good option either.
And I believe Adams is north of the railroad track, so I think the only options are Broad and Connors. So the access more than likely would have to come off Connors.
I'm talking about getting in and out of the business.
To leave.
I'm talking about getting in and out of the business. I mean, the access, there's some sort of activity going on there right now. I don't know what it is. I drive by there every day. I'm sorry to say, I don't really notice, but there's some sort of commercial activity going on there right now. From what I can gather, I think. There's a sign up for something, maybe I'm wrong, there's a lot of things along that way, but the only way to get in and out of that business would be to turn on to Connors and then come down the Broad and turn. The other way would be to go north on Connors and then go west on Adams, and you have to go all the way down to Mink and then, turn at Mink. And Adams isn't, a street that's really set up for all that commercial traffic. So, that's just my concern. That's just my concern about how folks would get in and out. Because then you've got, Mill Street, almost right of traffic, which is right along there, as well. That gets quite a bit of traffic as well. So, and then you get the Parkway with the traffic lights. Kind of busy. This is my concerns.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yes. I just want to reiterate what Todd just said, is that looking at traffic, Connors or Adams is their neighborhood streets. They're not built to, any large-scale commercial traffic that's coming in, and that intersection of Broad and Connors is tough to get in and out of when you're carrying that type of traffic. I don't know what the use would be or how much traffic is expected for there. Also on Adams Lane, we have the League Center and a park that needs to be taken into consideration as we're coming in. Just to the west of this intersection on Adams is the extension of Connors, so we do have other intersections on Adams Lane that need to be taken into consideration as we're looking at this.
Is it both businesses or either or?
With the rezoning application, the applicant's intent was to use the property for one of those two. However, the applicant is not limited to just those two. So there's hundreds of different uses in the general business district that would be permissible on this property.
Because Mr. Maynard is well known for his garage door repair. This isn't a retail shop for garage doors. Is this just garage door repair headquarters or something?
He mentions that it could be a car lot, is intended maybe a car lot, maybe a garage door repair, but in no way are we tying this to those proposed uses. He has
Okay.
a list, so it could be a barber shop. At
Okay.
the end of it, he decides, I'm gonna do a barber shop. That's permitted, he could do that.
Very good. Mrs. Carter?
I think that's probably one of my concerns is that, the traffic, obviously, and the entrance and exit areas, but that it doesn't limit what it could possibly be in the future once it's rezoned. And we're facing this in a lot of areas of our city now where we've kind of grown commercial into some residential areas. And when you talk about, there are still people who live there, and there's park, and not a great access to Broad. I do have some concerns just with the location and future use, not necessarily whatever his intent right now, but just opening it up to that in the future. I do have some concerns.
Okay, we're right at 7 o'clock. Any other questions real quick for Scott before we go to public comments? Any public comments concerning this application only? All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Mr.
Second.
Higgin, seconded by Mr. Barstow. Discussion and roll.
Carter,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Barstow,
Yes.
Hayes. Yes. Hicken.
Yes.
Okay, hearing adjourned. Give you 30 seconds. You need anything? Some M&Ms, Pepsi?
I might have to excuse myself.